occasionally I do hear some new actors coming to me telling me like, so and so casting director, they must hate me. They don't like me. They don't want me to succeed. They're out to get me. I've been there before. I've been in that space before a long time ago. When I first started, I once went to this audition. I think it was at one of the major studios. I was there, got called in, and I parked my car in their studio lot, walked up to the front gate person, and then said, I'm here to check in so I can go in and, do the audition. And then the front gate person says, you're not on the list. And I'm like, what? I'm here for an audition. So I called my manager, and my manager says, yeah, let me check. So they call casting, and the casting director or whoever's in the office told them, and quote unquote, what they said was, thanks for playing the game. He's no longer needed. So yes, I can understand there are sometimes casting directors that are mean and, on a power trip. However, the vast majority of casting directors is not like that. Those are the exceptions. The vast majority of casting directors are out there to make you succeed, because if you don't succeed, they don't have a job. Their job ultimately is to help directors and producers find the right talent, find the best talent. So every talent that comes through, they want you to succeed. They want you to be the next big thing, because they want to be the one that can say, I was the one who discovered Tom Holland. I was the one who discovered Brad Pitt. Who wouldn't want to say that, right? So casting directors are not out there to get us. They're out there to help us. Well, 99.9% of them, and the exception always proves the rule. I'm Paul, and I am the founder here at PopRock Academy, and I've helped many kids book their dream roles in commercials and TV shows and voiceovers and all sorts of things, knowing what casting wants and what they pass over. So, what is the most important thing casting look for? Most of us might think talent. Well, I hate to break it to you, talent, maybe 20 to 30% of the equation. They're looking for the right person who has the skill set, who has the professionalism, who's trained, who's prepared, who's a good person to work with, who they can send on set without worrying that they might make a fool of themselves, which will in turn reflect on casting poorly. Remember this, casting director isn't just casting the best talent for a job. They're interviewing a job applicant. I'm sure you've been to some form of job interview in your life. And a recruiter isn't just looking for someone who is talented. They're also looking for someone who will fit in with that culture, right? The culture of the work environment. Are they going to get along? Are they going to be easy to work with? Are they a diva who's going to throw a fit over, the colors of their M&Ms, because if that's the person you are, casting's going to be very weary about you. They don't want a director calling them up and go, oh my gosh, Paul, who did you just send me? For whatever reason it is. Maybe it's because they don't prepare, they never come on set on time, or maybe they don't learn their lines, or maybe they just don't work well with other people, or maybe they have a really bad attitude, or even worse, their parents. If it's a child actor, the parents are impossible to deal with. Their parents are always chiming in. Their parents are always in the way, telling wardrobe and makeup what to do with their child. Those are things casting directors are also concerned about. So, I'm going to break it down to you today, all the different things that you should focus on, and make sure that you have the right things so that when you go into an audition, you are fully prepared, not just with the scene, but as an employable actor. So one of the very first thing that I do work with a lot of students on is personality slate. Now, this is when you go into an audition. Most of the time it's for commercial auditions, but sometimes you get this for theatrical and voiceover auditions too, actually. Just yesterday, I helped one of the students do one of these personality slate for a voiceover audition as well. And what this is usually casting directors will ask a random question. Maybe, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite vacation place? Or what did you do last week? Or what's a hobby you just took on recently? Just all these random questions. And this is how I can tell when a child has zero training, is when I ask them that question, the answer is one word. What's your favorite food? Pizza. Awkwardness. Well, remember, casting director isn't interested in your answer. What casting director needs from our actors is to see their personality. So that's why it's called a personality slate, is so that casting director get a chance to get a glimpse of who you are. What kind of person are you? What's your personality like, so that they know where you fit in, who they can cast you as. If I need someone who is, full of very bubbly, full of personality, that's what you want to show. And if that's who you are, you want to be able to show them that's your personality. Again, you do not need to be everything for every casting director in every single role. You just need to make sure they see who you are and your personality comes through. So this is what I teach my students when they are asked a random personality slate question. For example, what's your favorite food? Instead of answering the question, I tell my students, don't answer the question. What you should do instead is just talk about whatever the first thing is that comes to your mind. It could be just me. What's my favorite food? So, it was like 2:30 at night, and I woke up in my bed. I pulled myself out of bed, walked down to my garage. That's where my dehydrator is. And then I was like trying to, see if the meat is fully dehydrated, and it's not. And I'm like, it's still kind of like moist and stuff, and it's not crispy. Why isn't it turning crispy? It's been in there for like 4 or 5 hours. And so I turned it back on and then just waited there. I didn't even go back to bed. I just sat there in my living room waiting, give it an hour to see if it's firming up, if it's crispening up. I left it on for another few more hours, knowing that, okay, it just needs a little bit more time. There's nothing wrong with what I was doing. And then I finally went back to bed. So my favorite food is sushi. Now, my answer had nothing to do with the story that I was telling, because it didn't matter. They didn't care what I was doing. I was dehydrating some food. Didn't matter, because that was what came to the top of my head. It's what I'm most emotionally connected with. So you get to see my personality. And the answer at the end is just to close out the statement, just to close it off and say, that's the end of my answer. That is what your personality slate should be. Now, obviously, most of the time, your answer is probably going to be related to the story. I'm just giving you a more extreme example, because in the end, what you cared about was my enthusiasm of me making my food, making the food that I'm trying to do, and being up at night, in the middle of the night, trying to, going crazy and doing this stuff. That's a personality I'm sending to you, and I'm showcasing to casting director. Hey, if you want to cast someone who's maybe neurotic, who's, hyper focused, I might be the guy for you. That's what I'm showing them. So, because, TV and film has so many different types of characters. You don't have to worry about whether you are going to be needed. It's just a matter of time. You just have to make sure casting director know to come to you whenever they need you. So of course, after your personality slate, you do have to do the work. You have to show them that you are ready. And even though memorization of your script is not necessarily required, most of the time you probably should have it memorized, because the truth is that especially with kids, if they don't have the scene memorized, chances are they're not truly acting. They're just sitting in front of camera trying to remember the lines, or they're constantly looking down at their script to remember what their next line is. So help them memorize it. Make sure they're off book as quickly as possible. Get in that habit, because it also puts casting directors at ease, knowing that, oh wow, this kid can memorize a script, 5 pages of script in 2 days, because I gave them 2 days and they memorized it, delivered it, and it's solid. I can trust that this kid can carry on an entire episode. If the director or producer gave a script with 3 new pages of dialogue, they'll know that you can handle it. They can trust that you can do it. Because remember, they're hiring someone who can do the job. And the other thing is, sometimes a lot of new actors think they have to always deliver a perfect audition. My audition has to be perfect from top to bottom. When I go into a callback, everything needs to be flawless. That's far from the case, actually. Sometimes it's okay to make a mistake, because casting director do occasionally, not all the time, obviously, occasionally want to see how you handle a mistake, because inevitably everyone makes a mistake. Everyone, even the most seasoned actors, That's why we have bloopers. Make mistakes on set. It's how you handle, how you recover from these mistakes. Are you going to, if you mess up a couple of words, are you going to go, no, 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 stop, 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 let me do this all over? That is not someone they want to work with. They want to work with someone who's going to, if they mess up a line, they just stop, pause, think, gather the thoughts, deliver the line again, or go line, hear it, gather the thoughts, and then continue on. Professionalism. They want to see if you can behave professionally on a set. And the casting director only have the audition to work with. They only know you from your audition. So it is important to show casting director who you are as a person, how you work as an employee, as an actor on set. And that isn't just inside the casting office, how you behave in the lobby. The moment you walk into that building, somebody's looking at you, somebody's judging you. Casting director do in fact go out to the lobby afterwards and go like, hey, I like so-and-so. How were they in the lobby? How were their parents in the lobby? And if the person in the front was like, oh, they were rude to me, they were not nice, they were mean, or they were aggressive, that will ruin your chance of booking that job. They won't even pitch you to the directors and the producers because they're like, I don't know, I can work with this. I don't know if I want to send this person in to see the director and see the producer and then ruin something on the set. And then I'm going to get yelled at. Because in the end, it's a job for them. They're trying to keep their job. They're trying to get their next job. And the way to get their next job is to find great actors who are great to work with, who get along with everyone on set. So keep that in mind. Casting directors are on your side. And so all you need to do is show who you are as a puzzle piece so that they know how to use you to fit into whatever project that comes their way. If you want to learn more about acting and the entertainment industry and how to break in, feel free to contact us here at PopRock Academy and we can get you started.